All right. I am Taylor Gill, a member of the Board of Trustees, and I welcome you this Sunday to the service at the UU Church of Columbia. I am wearing a long green dress. I've got really curly hair, and my dress has like some flowers embroidered on it. We are a congregation of many beliefs striving together to embody courageous love, radical welcome, and deep connection. And we are glad you are here. Welcome. We offer a live stream of our services and extend a warm welcome to those of you joining online. We strive to make our worship accessible, and you can find an accessible order of service with hymn lyrics included in our homepage at uucomo.org. There's listening assisted devices with our ushers near the entrance of the sanctuary. And if you are using Zoom, you can click the CC button for the subtitles. We also have a scent-free section in the front 2 rows of each of the east side of the sanctuary, and ask for those seats to be reserved for those chemical sensitivities and those not using scented products. As usual, masks are very welcome, celebrated, and optional. We'd like to particularly welcome any visitors among us this morning and invite you to find our Visitor Connect book in the greeting area or in the chat, or use the QR code in the order of service. We'd love to stay in touch. Children and babies are always welcome in worship, and we have nursery care in the lower level for the youngest ones, as well as a lively children's program for all ages. Today, we are worshiping together as one community of all ages for our Stewardship Sunday service. Children programs resume next week. Now, let us settle into this time and place with our help of our very special guest musician, Syd.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Syd, and I am a Caucasian woman with medium-length blonde hair. I'm wearing a little white blouse with some nice frills and a green pair of pants with flowers. And today, the first song, just a quick moment, this song that I'd like to share with you, I was kind of, I got invited to do this and talking about bread, and I think I got more to a metaphorical sense of the bread in my life. And so this song has kind of come from a place, my great-grandmother was indigenous, and through my music and through my journey, I've been regrowing, making that bread again, bringing that back out. So yeah, I hope you all enjoy. Drop into the earth, sacred and sound, home to all life within. I feel it breathing, bones and skin alive. Once dust in the wind, now makes a heartbeat. Oh, 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 ay, ay, oh, ay, ay, oh, 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 ay, ay, oh, ay, ay, oh, oh, ay, ay, oh, ay, ay, oh. The birth begins, a perfect dance. Round and around, life is abound. Hand in hand, we sing this song. We tell this story, we beat this drum. Oh, 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 ay, ay, oh, ay, ay, oh, 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 ay, ay, oh, ay, ay, oh, 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 The earth begins a perfect dance. Round and round life is abound. Hand in hand we sing this song. We tell this story. We beat this drum. Oh ah, oh ah, oh ah, oh ah, ay ay oh ah, ay ay oh ah, oh ah, oh ah, oh ah, oh ah, ay ay oh ah, ay ay oh ah, oh ah, oh ah, oh ah, oh ah, ay ay oh ah, ay ay oh ah.
Good morning. Welcome to our Stewardship Sunday service. I am your minister, the Reverend Molly Hausch-Gordon. I'm a white woman with red hair, wearing a purple blouse with lace and a teal blazer today. And I wanted to make a note for the kids in our sanctuary in our service today, and for anyone who likes to keep their hands busy, that we've got a table set up at the back as we celebrate bread this Sunday with some raw dough balls that are pretty fun to play with. Please don't eat them. They would not taste very good yet. And also some coloring sheets. So feel free to keep your hands busy back there if you'd like. Now this is the Sunday when we celebrate that together we are greater than the sum of our parts. This is the Sunday when we commit our resources to the shared life of our beloved congregation. The Sunday when we launch our pledge drive in the service of building a bigger table and feasting together on the abundance of our community. This year, our theme for our stewardship campaign is Breaking Bread, Growing Love, because we want to celebrate the deliciousness and nourishment of our community, because we know that community has to be made like bread, with hard work and time to rest and rise in warmth, because we sustain our community knowing that it sustains us, and because running a church takes some dough. So let us open with a beautiful vision of what we seek to create from the poet Jan Richardson. And the table will be wide, and the welcome will be wide, and the arms will open wide to gather us in, and our hearts will open wide to receive. And we will come as children who trust there is enough, and we will come unhindered and free, and our aching will be met with bread, and our sorrow will be met with love, and we will open our hands to the feast without shame, and we will turn toward each other without fear, and we will give up our appetite for despair, and we will taste and know of delight, and we will become bread for a hungering world, drink for those who thirst, and the blessed will become the blessing, and everywhere will be the feast. Won't you join me in rising or remaining seated as you are most comfortable to sing together our opening hymn, number 361, Enter, Rejoice, and Come In. Let us sing.
Today will be our
We now light our chalice, symbol of our faith in the cup of community and the bright flame of the human spirit. Will you please join me, if you are so moved, in the words of affirmation printed in your order of service. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another.
Good morning. I'm Jamila Batchelder, the Director of Religious Education here. I am a pale-skinned woman with dark blonde hair and, did I say it's middle-aged woman, and glasses, and I'm wearing a sleeveless black top and black pants, and really great boots. A few weeks ago in the coming of age class, we were working on trying to define Unitarian Universalism. And I always start when I try to tell people who are not Unitarian Universalists what we are. I say we're not a covenantal religion, not a creedal religion, but instead a covenantal religion. And I could go on for a whole service about what I mean by that, but in short, we put the process of creating relationships and community at the heart of our religion, more than theology and abstract ideas. It's about the way we connect with each other and this process of building community, both particular and broader. And the thing about creating community is it doesn't just happen because we want it to happen. It takes our sharing of our resources, both material and spiritual, and it takes work. It takes our effort, our labor. And choosing this bread-making metaphor feels really fitting. How many people have made bread before? It's not easy, right? You might even work up a sweat. There's so much, the kneading, this stretching. But beyond the actual, so there's this labor part where you're putting in so much of yourself, right? But then there's this second part where something happens that's just magical, that's more than what you put in. This rising, and every time I make bread, it surprises me that, like, look how big it got. And I feel the same way when we create community together, that there's this magic that happens where something bigger than all of us then is created together. And we have this amazing musical guest today, Syd, and I thought for our centering today, we could try to center on those two sides of creating community, the effort that goes into it and the magic that happens alongside it, the kneading and the rising. So as you listen to this music, I want you to feel that in your heart, in your soul, that feeling of the effort and the magic of the rising. And if you are a movement sort of person, if you want to actually embody that in whatever way moves your body, I probably will be doing that in the back of the room. So feel free to stretch, to rise, to do whatever as the music moves you. So I'm going to throw it over to Syd and Violet now.
I'd like to invite the congregation to join. So we're going to go through, you can hear the first 2 verses, and just join in when you feel comfortable, okay? I guess just a little bit about this song. I performed it the first time a few weeks ago at an event, a sound body that Compass hosts, and I facilitate. And it came from a place where about a year ago I just was in probably one of the hardest spots I had probably been in kind of my whole life, or on a level, that rise and grow. And this song was just a response to that, to pull out of that. It was hard work to get out of that. And this song is part of that needing of, so we can get to the rise. So yeah, here we go. I am here to stay. I am not alone. I am here to stay. Hand in hand I grow. We're here to stay. We're not alone. We are here to stay. Hand in hand we grow. I will speak my truth. I will not be silent. I will speak my truth. Time to spread the news. We will speak our truth. We will not be silent. We will speak our truth. Time to spread the news. I am rising high, high above my pain. I am rising high, rising to the light. We are rising high, high above our pain. We are rising high, rising to the light. I grow roots running deep, deep into the earth. I grow roots running deep, nourish my every cell. We grow roots running deep, deep into the earth. We grow roots running deep, nourish our every cell.
Now, during a moment of contemplative music, we will join in our weekly ritual of stones and water. Those of you with us online are invited into a time of contemplation during quiet music, and you may wish to share your joy and sorrow in the chat to be spoken aloud during the time of prayer. For those of us here in the sanctuary, it is our custom each week to come forward if you wish, take a stone, fill it up with all that you carry with you on this day, all the hopes and fears, joys and sorrows and prayers that are on your heart. Hold that stone in your hand for a moment and then release it into the water, which represents the care of our community. If you would like us to speak your joys or sorrows aloud during our time of prayer, there's a table at the back of the sanctuary where you can write them on a slip of paper so that we may speak them during our time of prayer. So let us now share this time of stones and water.
Molly, can I share a joy? Right here.
Yes, please, please. A voice from above would like to share joy.
Molly. Jamila brought me a song that Willow wrote just a minute ago, and I wanted to share it because it's so lovely. And Willow, I hope it's okay. I'm just going to make up some melody to it really quick. And it goes like this. You're a gem, do good for others. You're a gem, do good for others. Do good for others, for others. You're a friend.
Yeah.
That's all.
What a full and beautiful community we share. May all these joys and sorrows and prayers be held tenderly in our hearts alongside all those not spoken aloud or shared, but carried with us in our community. May we all feel held in all the days to come. Amen. And our hymn of response is a simple tune that we sing regularly over the years. If you haven't heard it before, if you're visiting today, you'll probably pick it up after 1 or 2 times and invite you to join in once you pick it up. Singing with you is my prayer. Let's remain seated and join together in song. The service of sharing bread is common in our sister congregations across the country, and one of my colleagues, the Reverend Dan Schatz, has written a Unitarian Universalist bread recipe to share on such occasions that Jamila and I will share with you now. UU bread, a recipe, makes unlimited servings. It's magic, this thing we make together. Here are the ingredients.
3 to 5 cups mixed flour. Your blend may vary depending on the place, the day, the time. Spelt, wheat, white and rye, corn, rice, quinoa, and chickpea flour all work, as does every other enriched or simple. This recipe is best when many flours come together.
1 cup seeds, carriers of the past, seasoning though not the substance, seeds of hope, of justice, of community. Give each loaf unique flavor, texture, interest, but do not limit the shape of what is to come.
1/4 cup nuts. Use with caution. Some people are allergic, and good breads stay well grounded, but the rich flavor of fresh nuts will add wonder, creativity, possibility, and laughter. Sometimes you need a little nuttiness for the sheer joy of it.
1.5 teaspoons salt, because tears are real. Because heartbreak, arguments, grieving, and hurt are real. Because forgiveness is real. Because without the saltiness of truth, bread becomes weak. 2 tablespoons brown sugar, sweetness for balance. Song and celebration and children's faces, gifts of heart and unexpected blessing.
1/4 cup vegetable oil, wisdom to flow through it all. Strength and flexibility will give the crust a healthy crisp and extend shelf life.
1.5 cups water, the earth, the universe, spirit, life itself.
1/4 ounce active dry yeast. It sounds like so little, but well used will grow and expand, giving itself to form the loaf. This bread is leavened with love.
And after the ingredients, here are the steps. First, combine the flours together, the character of each enhancing the others.
In a separate bowl, add sugar and yeast, the sweet and the holy, to the warm waters of life, inviting love to bloom.
Mix in the blended salt and flours slowly, gently, to form a simple ball of dough.
Add seeds, promise to the bake. Sprinkle nuts and salt, truth and whimsy, and balance with the oil of wisdom.
Knead by hand, stretching, reshaping, challenging, comforting. Massage until smooth, but do not overwork. There is art in knowing when to let go and give it time.
Allow to rise. Marvel in the transformation as bread takes form. Love lifting all.
Bake in a warm and nurturing oven. Enjoy with others. Make again and again. Tweaking proportions, ingredients, and timing as you will. Each loaf is a new creation.
When you are ready, pass the recipe on. Together with all you have learned, so this bread is always fresh. Feed one another.
Feed one another. It's what we do, isn't it? When we're doing well as humans, we transform the stuff of earth around us into nourishment for one another. We nourish one another. The Russian theologian Nikolai Berdyaev once said, "Bread for myself is a material question. Bread for my neighbor is a spiritual one." We gather in community to live this spiritual question. How will we feed one another? And the result can be such a profound sense of abundance. The result can be the best of what it is to love. I see that result here so often. I am fed by this community in so many ways, especially by the ways we uniquely celebrate and uplift difference. This place is a feast of ideas and practices and understandings that makes my life so much more delicious. I am fed especially by the deep compassion of this community, by the ways we show up for one another at the celebration, at the funeral, at the hospital bed, at the chalice circle when we need a place to cry and laugh and feel so fully human and held. I am fed especially by the prophetic commitments of this community, by the ways we recognize that every person and creature is our neighbor and deserves thriving simply because they are here, because they are an essential part of our connected world, part of us. I'm fed by the ways we proclaim abundance and then carry it with us into the world. There are ways that our world is spiritually starving right now, brittle and scarce and burnt by the supremacy systems that are shouting so loudly in our politics and public sphere. It is not a small thing in this moment, in this culture, to feed each other from an abundant softness. It is not a small thing in this moment to build community, to nurture and knead and grow and bake it like bread. It is not a small thing. Here are some of the ways I think our community feeds us like bread. You see, bread must be kneaded at great length and with great effort to develop the gluten that holds it all together, just like it takes our hard work to sustain a community, kneading and attending and putting in the elbow grease to develop and nurture these deep connections that are no small thing. And then bread needs to rest and rise. Just as here in this congregation, we take the time to opt into a different pace than the demands of empire and capital around us, a pace that allows us to stretch and grow and love. We rise together because of the culture that we nurture here. And we know that yeast grows in warmth, and that we are here to be warmth for one another. That here we create the loving circumstances in which the shy spirit can stretch out and come forward into a world that needs it. And lastly, my favorite breads are solid on the outside and so soft and fluffy on the inside. And here, we work hard to maintain a community that shares moral clarity with a deep and rigorous gentleness, a tenderness before the trials of our shared life. This is a community that does all of those things together. And this is a place worth sustaining. This place needs to rise. The world needs this place to rise. This place needs our gifts and our nourishment. So let us bring the symbolic and very literal gift of bread to one another today as a reminder of all of the ways that we feed each other, as a reminder that together we are so much more than any of us could be alone. Let us feast together on the love of this community. But first, let's sing another song. It's number 404 in your gray hymnal, What Gift Can We Bring? I invite you to rise or remain seated as you are most comfortable. Let us now bring forward gifts of nourishment for one another. We invite each person who wishes to come and share bread, whether in fact or in metaphor. If you brought bread with you this morning, whether it's here on the table or out in the kitchen, you are invited, if you wish, to say a brief word in the microphone about what the bread represents to you. Whether you brought bread or not, we also invite your stories about bread or nourishment. This is a community of giving and receiving both, and we invite all of you into a time of receiving one another's sharing. And I'm going to start. This is my mother's 3-layer cornbread recipe, which is magic because of science, because of the different weights of the flours. So it contains, in its original form, it contains cornmeal, regular flour, and whole wheat flour, as well as a whole bunch of milk and egg. And what happens then as it bakes is it stratifies, and the heavy cornmeal goes to the bottom to create a cornbread layer. And then in the middle, you can't really see it here, but you will when we cut it open later, it forms a layer of custard as the egg and milk kind of rise up to the middle. But then the whole wheat flour comes up to the top and makes this crackly topping. And I have become gluten-free due to inflammation issues and have realized that one-to-one gluten-free flour will serve as the regular flour, and oat flour will make the crackly top instead of the whole wheat. So this is my gluten-free version of my mom's special magic bread.
I was going to bake challah, but ran out of time last night, but I thought, wait a minute, us Jews have a lot of different kinds of bread. So I picked up some bagels this morning, or my beloved's pasta. And all Jewish breads remind me of, they're all memory to me. And the matzah is the memory of hard times through generations, the challah, the sweetness, and bagels and schmear, humor. And so I'm happy to share that with all of you.
Good morning. I brought a dilly bread. It's now gluten-free. I've been eating this bread for over 50 years. When my sister in her teens figured out you can make bread, who knew that? She figured out you can make soup too. My mom was not a cook. Anyway, she wrote out this recipe by hand when I got married the first time in the 70s. And every year at Thanksgiving and other times it was made. And then 14 and a half years ago, I became gluten-free, and bread is really hard to make. Rising bread is hard. Cornbread is a little, easier. But anyway, so for a while I just didn't do bread, and I sure didn't do this because this is my favorite bread. And then I decided I should try it. And then when I tried it last time, it was okay. And then I added some things to it, and it's better. And so I had to take a piece this morning to make sure that I wouldn't give you something really bad. But anyway, this is a dilly bread. It has instant minced onion and dill seed in it. It is gluten-free. It does have some dairy in it. But it's quite nice, and I brought butter for it.
We got this bread at Trader Joe's, which is one of our favorite places. So we were thinking of everyone yesterday when we bought the bread, and it's one of our favorites. So we hope you enjoy.
I grew up with Wonder Bread from the day old bread store. That is not this, but this is another of my family. And so it is non-gluten with coconut flour and no milk and no nuts, and might not be that delicious, but coming to this congregation, the first time there was a potluck and people asked me, does it have this and does it have that? And it was such an educational moment. So because of this family, I made this.
When we were thinking about what bread we would bring, I remembered that when we moved here 8 years ago, we only knew my sister and her husband at the time. And since that time, through this congregation, we have made so many dear friends. We just love this place so much. And among those dear friends is the Burling family, a songwriter and bread bringer. We had the privilege of having Willow and Trinity stay overnight with us not long ago. And out of that, we found a pair of socks, which we'll return to you. And they brought us some special bread from Springfield, Missouri, which they shared with us. We savored it because it's so good. We froze some, and we thought this is a great thing to give back to this group.
So I'm Sue Pereira, and I made this. It's almond and fruit holiday bread. And about, gosh, almost 20 years ago now, when I was diagnosed with celiac disease, all you could get at Hy-Vee, the only grocery store that had gluten-free stuff, was this little tiny aisle, and it was crap, not very good. But there were noodles, and I remember like the first year after I was diagnosed, I remember standing at my refrigerator thinking, I was so depressed. I was like, I have become a bird. All I can eat are like nuts and seeds, and anyway, I did all the things, tried out all the different flours you could use, and then finally sort of made a few things that tasted okay, and then I found this bread recipe from a friend, and when I ate it, I almost cried, because it's yeasted, it's chewy, it did lift, and I swore I was going to come up here and say all the things that are wrong with it. However, I did fast forward to like, now you can get gluten-free flour blends, but you have to be very specific which one it is, because you don't want this xanthan gum already in there, blah, blah, blah. So I fudged it, and instead of going back to like all the different ingredients that you use to make a gluten-free blend, I did it with, I skipped the steps and just got the blend stuff. So anyway, long story short, I didn't really do the guesstimations right, and some flour didn't really get mixed in the bread machine that I made it in, so I didn't do all the kneading and all that. But next time I'm gonna go just back to the basics, and then I think it'll be perfect. But that's what it is. It does have dairy and eggs. Sorry, I gotta have something. So there it is. Enjoy.
Hello, I'm Lily, and I brought this, which is a Aldi's cornbread that is gluten-free, and I really love it, but I like to add cheddar cheese, jalapeno, green onions, garlic, and butter, and if you need to know the kind of oil I used was corn oil, but I'll just put this by my thing. Last night I went to put it in the oven, and the oven wouldn't work, and so it's cooked here while we were all in here. So I think it's all worked out for the better, and I keep finding all these like metaphors for our bread making and what bread we made. And you know, I started coming to UU in April, and in October I became a member, and it just really felt like I didn't realize how kind of raw our family was left without a place like here to throw our bread in the oven. And I'm just so appreciative of everyone who I've gotten to meet here and all the connections we're making, and what started off as like something about just being a Tex-Mex kind of bread, because my family is from here in Missouri and my husband's family is from Mexico, and this being a good representative, the metaphors just kept stacking up with the raw and then being able to cook it here. But I think we're getting the best of all worlds, because there's gonna be some hot, spicy cornbread.
This is one of my 2 muffin mixes. This is my sweet muffin. I also have a savory muffin mix. This is the base. I didn't put anything in it, but what you can go and put blueberries, you can put pumpkin, you can put raisins, whatever you want into the mix. Just like with the savory, you can add whatever, onions or bell peppers and spices with the savory one.
These are cucumber sandwiches made with Pepperidge Farm very thin sliced white bread, which when I was growing up was one of my very favorite things. And I regret to tell you that it's got crust on it, and my great-grandmother would probably not like that very much. So anyway.
So I brought my mother's banana bread recipe. My mother's like an incredible baker, and the reason that she's so great is because she follows recipes like perfectly and exactly. And in the instructions, it's like there's this part where it says like you mix the liquid and the dry ingredients separately, and then you combine them alternately, starting and ending with the dry mixture, and it like takes 3 bowls. And I am not a person that likes instructions or authority, so I never do that. And also, it's gluten-free, dairy-free. And then I made muffins just because it would be easier to split up.
I have for you the bread of my people, sweet rolls. When I was a little girl, Grandma Georgie would make goosely rolls for us at holiday time. Just the word goosely was enough to put me off. So when I grew up and I could make my own sweet rolls, I looked farther afield than Scotland, and I went to my Danish friend, and her grandma Svensson had a wonderful recipe for cool rice doughs, and that's what my family has been eating for the last 42 years. And in fact, my daughter, who is a Unitarian minister in another church, wrote a whole sermon about these rolls. So I hope you enjoy them.
Well, I did not grow up on sourdough bread. My mother never made any yeast breads that I can remember. But in the last couple of years, I sort of took on the challenge, and a friend of mine gave me a starter, and so I've been sort of experimenting, and I'm kind of a follower of really tightly following recipes. And I'm getting better, and it's pretty tasty, and sometimes it's more holy than others, so maybe when we cut into it, we'll find out. But you know, for me, the sourdough had a devotion. I mean, you have to sort of commit a day and bake it in the next morning to have it turn out the way it is. And this is one of 2 doughs that comes with each recipe. So we'll keep our fingers crossed.
So we went to Mosier's because we decided we were going to be lazy, and we decided on this one because if you've ever played Skyrim, a video game, you get 5 health points for bread that looks very similar to this. So.
My mother passed away a long time ago. I was still in my 20s, and so I miss her. And so every once in a while, I just need to go back through her cookbook or her recipe box. And so a lot of times when I'm supposed to bring something to church, that's one of the things that I do. And I found this recipe. At the time, I always thought it was ironic. She went through a lot of health nut kind of phases and still managed to die fairly young. But she called this one a quickie health bread. It does have flour. It's white and rye flour. No sugar. It's only you can do only honey or only molasses. I did molasses and raisins, and it also uses dairy, so it's got buttermilk in it, but no eggs. So I hope you enjoy it.
I sliced this bread so it would be easily eatable today. This is my husband Jack's bread, actually. And we bought a bread oven about 37 years ago. He decided to try it out, and he's been making our bread ever since. And I really enjoy it. I have a recipe here. And what we really like is for it toasted and French bread. What do I mean? French toast, thank you, yeah. But It's such fun because it is the one thing he does in the kitchen. And we've been married 70 years next year. There it goes.
I want to be clear, I am not the bread maker, I am the recipient thereof. Outside, you're going to find some gluten-free, are they blueberry? Blueberry muffins. Connie makes muffins literally every Saturday. I wake up on Saturday mornings to the smell of something in the oven. I don't know the last time she actually pulled a recipe book out. It's always flour, sugar, soda, salt, eggs, milk, oil. And that's the base, and that's where it starts. And then who knows what it's going to turn out to be. Sometimes it's savory with big chunks of ginger, which I really love. Sometimes it's sweeter because we're trying to get Lila to try to figure out how to eat, healthy muffins in the morning. But every weekend that I have known Connie, I have had the joy of having fresh-made muffins, which is one of her ways of putting love into the universe.
So in my daily life, for those who know and those who don't, I guess, I work a lot with entrepreneurs. And if you've been to the farmer's market and seen Fiddle and Stone, Chris is one of my favorite entrepreneurs here in town. Cooks wonderful bread, is a wonderful human being, lives in my neighborhood, and super happy to support him. And so when this came up, it was a no-brainer for our family to do something to support a local entrepreneur and provide to the church. So.
And currently in the kitchen, I am frantically defrosting the pretzels that our children made last week, and it's a reminder of how they are always contributing to our community as well.
What a delicious community we are. And as soon as the service has concluded, we're going to carry all these breads out to the greeting area and invite you to enjoy the ones that meet your desires and dietary needs. After the service, we, I think, also have at least a pound of butter ready to be spread, and coffee, of course. So we are going to now jointly, Jamila and I, bless this bread so that we may all go share it together and delight in the nurturing of our community. Bread, the staff of life, the stuff in which is gathered up warm sun, rich earth, gentle rain, human labor and knowledge and skill.
Bread transmuting earth stuff into our dreams, our love, our community, our life.
Blessing this bread, we confess our dependence upon and our participation in the world of nature.
Blessing this loaf, we confess our dependence upon our responsibility for the community of life.
Blessing this bread, we celebrate our unity with all people who have lived upon the earth, who have been warmed by the great sun, who have seen the greening of spring, who have stood watching wind sweep over a field of wheat, who have tried to count the stars in a cloudless winter sky.
Blessing this bread, we participate in all meals ever eaten by the children of the earth, great feasts, public celebrations, quiet meals shared in the warm privacy of the home.
Blessing this bread, we confess that our lives, physical and spiritual, are sustained and nurtured by the labor and sacrifices of others.
Sharing this bread, we offer a wondering thanksgiving for all that gives or dies that we might live.
Blessing this bread, sharing these loaves, we celebrate our oneness with all who have savored the taste of soft, fresh bread, who have sought nourishment for soul as well as body.
Blessing this bread, sharing these loaves, we proclaim that we are one with all those who have preceded us in this place, in this tradition, that we in turn shall remain forever a part of this place, in warm communion with all who come after us.
This bread is a reflection of the love and abundance of our community. We hope you will join us in feasting upon it in the greeting area during coffee hour immediately following the service. For those of you joining us online, we're sorry to tempt you so. but we very much hope that you have some delicious bread at home to share with your loved ones after the service. And I'm now going to invite Susan Even, our Stewardship Annual Giving Chair, forward to introduce our time of offering and our stewardship campaign for the year.
The fantasy writer and imaginer of just worlds, Ursula Le Guin, once wrote, "Love doesn't just sit there like a stone. It has to be made like bread, remade all the time, made new." So it is with our community of courageous love. Our community is an amazing gift that we are constantly mixing, kneading, resting, rising, baking, and sharing. It needs our perpetual care and attention, and the reward of that attention is so delicious and so sustaining. We've reached the part of our church year when we ask you to consider what care you can commit to our congregation in the coming fiscal year in the form of your time, your talent, and your treasure. How can you feed this community so that it keeps rising and giving nourishment to you, your fellow UU churchers, and our wider community? This year we're doing a brief but intense pledge drive, asking our members, friends, and sustaining givers to consider and make your commitments over the next 2 weeks and turn in a pledge card by March 10th for the fiscal year that begins July 1. For those of you newer to our congregational giving, monthly or annual pledges are a commitment or estimate of what you plan to give over the course of the year that help us plan our budget. We ask people to consider what feels generous and good within their own budget, and we know that when circumstances change, so do pledges. They're not written in stone. More than 90% of our budget is made of these pledge-sustaining monthly or annual gifts. The rest comes from building rentals, money in the offering plate on Sundays, fundraising events, and other unpledged gifts. In turn, more than 70% of our budget goes to fair compensation and benefits for our incredible staff, with the remaining paying utilities and building maintenance and supplies for children and youth programs, sheet music for the choir, compensation for musical guests, pay for guest preaching, basic needs for the kitchen, bathrooms and offices, and funds for our ministry teams to run their programs. Our stewardship this year, Breaking Bread, Growing Love, we're having a lot of fun with it and delicious ways to engage with one another, a chance to share family recipes during our monthly potluck lunch. The following week, we'll invite you to bring and help package single-served bread items for the Mobile Aid Soup Kitchen. We hope that this campaign is both meaningful and delicious. Our community is so sweet, but of course, baking bread takes more than sweetness. So here's the salty part. Our congregation is out of the restricted surplus reserves that we were using to balance our budget. We will need to increase our giving by about $25,000 as an entire congregation in order to be able to continue meeting our financial obligations to our staff, our ministry teams, and our facility. After 2 years of working hard to increase giving, we are really close, but we need the final push. An online pledge card and paper fact sheets outline a strategy for how we can reach the goal with modest giving increases for different levels of giving. And of course, brand new pledges help as well. As we take our offering this morning, I'd like to invite those of you who are current pledgers or those who are ready to make a sustaining commitment to the congregation in form of a monthly gift to use this musical moment to begin considering your pledge. You could even take that pledge card off your list right now during the offertory by using the QR code on the insert in the order of service. We're hoping to get all the pledge cards returned by March 10th, and it would be such a great help to have yours turned in today. For those who are just visiting, thank you for your patience as we undertake this pledge drive for the next 2 weeks so that we can continue to build a warm and nourishing place for all who seek our community. Our offering this morning is for the work of our congregation. Ushers will circulate through the sanctuary, and online giving details are in the order of service. Let us now share in the spirit of generosity along with another musical offering from Syd.